as well as people are joining us. First of all, Michelle O'Neill, thank you so much for volunteering your Saturday to teach us the wisdom of your ways. I know that in Newport-Mesa, you are day-to-day the coordinator of early childhood education, but among those who are in the know, you are the organizational guru, and you can even tell by the aesthetic behind you, like you just have such a refined way of navigating life. And having just participated in a couple of sessions on mental health and reducing anxiety, so much of that is about creating the space around you and reducing clutter. And I'm just so grateful that you're going to share your wisdom with us. And to those who are in attendance, you can put questions in the question in the Q&A section down below. And I will drop a PDF also of Michelle's presentation down there so you can see it. And I think without further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
Welcome. Thank you, Kristen. Welcome, families, friends. I am so excited that you have joined my session today. The whole entire goal of our session today is to learn how to become even better organized. And just a little bit about myself. I've been with this district now for 22 years, one as a teacher. So organization was one of those things to stay organized and keep the flow of a classroom. And then as an autism specialist, and now as the early childhood coordinator with Newport-Mesa. So I'm excited to get our day started today. What I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen. And as you have any questions, just put them in the chat and Kristen will help flow and I'll be able to answer some of those questions as we go. Let's get started. All right. So today it's all about fun, being creative when we're organizing at our home and our domain. Our agenda today is to be proactive, setting up for success, the tricks of getting organized, labels, containers, and hooks. So I will show you some pictures of that, and actually will demonstrate some of how we're going to put labels on containers to keep us organized. I really like this quote here: decluttering can be overwhelming. So start with one small thing. Clean out your junk drawers. It can lead to so many more beautiful things. Start there, and you will find yourself cleaning your whole rest of your house. And that's how I started. I started with one little junk drawer, and then as I was looking through my house, I started taking section by section, and that's what we're going to do a little bit today. So one of the things about getting started, it's all about just getting started with a small project and making it into a big project throughout your entire house. And for some of you who might be teachers on here, for your classroom. So let's start off in thinking about our vision. Our project vision is important. Remember, more time and resources in the beginning, less later. So what that means is making sure that we understand that at the beginning, everything's going to seem overwhelming. It's going to be a lot more time and energy and resources and buying things at the beginning because of how we're going to be organizing out our plan. Planning for the long term. So just thinking about when, we're starting off little and that, different projects across our home, we want to make sure that we start little, we go big, but we have a goal in mind. Teaching the family new skill sets. So it's not only you who's going to be organizing your home and organizing routines, but making sure you include your family as part of it. The next one here is, intervening before things starting to fill up. That's the whole entire thing about being organized and being proactive. Making space for creativity. Style your home to your liking. When we think about organization, we want to also make it aesthetic and cute in our home and inviting so that it doesn't look all cluttered, but we also don't want to have it looking like an office throughout our entire home or a kid's bedroom throughout our home. So we want to make it stylish, and I'll show you some different ideas for that. Also, too, when we're talking about our project and our vision, we're talking about the outcome being more predictable. So this is where we're going to be creating our routines. Identify your necessities, making sure that different project in your house is important to you and how you're going to organize it. The other thing here is about proactive planning with the family. When we're proactively planning with our family, so when you have little ones, you have teenagers, we want to make sure with our idea, we have our vision in mind that we're front loading everyone in the house, right? We're letting them know kind of what our vision is. And part of doing that is not only sharing what our vision is, but prompting, right? We're going to be organizing and prompting our family members of how we want things organized. So that involves shaping. So when we're shaping that behavior of how we're putting things in our kitchen or how we're putting things in our kids' bedrooms, we're shaping that at first. We're actually doing it so that our kids can watch us be able to model that type of behavior that we're wanting to have in our house. The next part here is the goal, are being effective and making sure that our goal and being proactive, we have strategies. And the point of that is to reduce disorganization and increase our cleanup and organizational routines. Okay. And then last, it goes back to being proactive with our family is teamwork. Proactive strategies are interventions which are used as an ongoing foundation in attempt to reduce the likelihood of toys, books, clothes, shoes being misplaced, broken, or gathering on the floor. So it's important that we're including all of our family members in this process. Okay. Any questions so far? Nope. The reason why I mention this is because we want to think about our plan. We want to be proactive in our plan once we start organizing. Setting up for success. So I've organized out our sections here in stop the clutter at the door. So as you're walking in, our play area for those of us who have children and organizing our play area, our bedrooms, our kitchen, pets for those who have pets, and organizing our pets are just as much as a member of our families than our children and our spouses. And then the bathroom. What does that look like in each of those sections? So let's start with number one, stop the clutter at the door. This is where we can start that organization by one, having a shoe shelf or having a shoe bin. So, and then having backpack hooks, storage bins for kids and adults, a key holder, and a charging station. So as you're walking in the door, not only for yourself as the adults, but your children walking in the door, there is organization so that when we're coming into the door, we're putting things away. And when we're going out the door, we're putting things away. So that helps with, especially if you have young ones and you have backpacks, how we're organizing, taking things out of the kiddos' backpacks, how we're putting things into this kiddos' backpacks. But this organization is not only for you in creating your systems and routines, but it's also for your kiddos, right? They know when they walk into the door, they're going to take off their shoes, put their shoes in this bin. They know they're going to hang up their backpack so that and when we're going to school in the morning or when we're coming home from school, where are they going to put that? Because we don't want that backpack just lying on the floor in maybe a bedroom or in the bathroom as they're rushing in to come inside. But another thing that's important here is storage bins. You want to be able to distinguish storage bins for your kiddos as well as yourself. You want to separate that. And the reason is that you want to hold your kids accountable in that routine. They have their own space. They have their own little area that they're storing their materials. They take ownership in this process when we create systems. And then that key holder. How many of us have lost our keys somewhere in the household? Even it could be that we're coming home from after work or before going to work and we open up the fridge and we've left our keys inside of the fridge. That happens. So here's that spot where you can make sure that you're hanging your keys there. So it's always a good place to find them before we're entering and leaving the house. And then that charging station. Some people have charging stations throughout their entire house, but here's a good way to drop off that phone, set aside those electronics, and have a little bit of focus with our families. The next area is the play area, which is one of those big areas in our household. Some families don't have specific play areas in their household, like a room, but let's create that area. Or if you do have a room as a play area, we can create that area too. So when we think about our kids, think with the mindset that the play area is an area for them to play. That's our kids' domain. making sure that our kids feel comfortable. They want to relax. They want to be cozy in that area. So having chairs or beanbag chairs in that area for them to be able to access the things in their play area. Also, too, having a book area specifically so that when kids are doing their homework or you're reading a story to them, they have an area in the home that they know that they can take a book, sit down and read a book, and where are they going to put it back so that that book is not going to different areas in the house. Okay. And there could be a book area in the bedroom, definitely. But in their specific play area, you want to be able to have that book area so that the kiddos know where to put specific toys or books away. Also, too, having a workspace. Our kiddos, they love to be creative. They love to draw. They love to share off things with their families, you being mom or dad, grandma or grandpa or aunt. So making sure that they have their own little workspace, they take ownership of their workspace. It's just like their desks at school. They all take ownership of their desk area. They like to clean it up. They have a way of organizing different things. Create that little space for your little ones or even big ones at home, meaning high schoolers. Another thing is on display, whether our kiddos are bringing home art projects from school or they're doing an art project at home, have that area to display that. A bulletin board, a shelf, if they're making clay, and a model airplane for them to show off their art to you. Also, too, it makes that room look, going back to that aesthetic, it makes that room look pretty because you are actually putting up their artwork. And the kids get excited when you put up their artwork. Storage cabinets. Storage cabinets are so important. And I'm going to show you that at the end here, different types of storage units that we can use. But storage cabinets, not only for your kiddos, but specifically for yourselves too, because yes, we are going to, the whole entire point of the play area too is that we're creating a space for our children to play, but we're also creating that space for them to put away things and clean things. And that's for you too, so that you as the mom, as we're kind of cleaning it, cleaning the areas in their play area, there's a space of where things go back in. Okay, so that's important. Also too, when we're talking about supply cabinets, one of the biggest things I always say to families and teachers and friends that I work with is cleaning that out. Part of it is, you're putting things in and we've got a way of how we're going to organize it. But most of all, it's when we're cleaning things out. So taking things that are either expired, things that are broken, that so it's not piling up with a variety of different materials in that area. Storage and style. There's a variety of different types of bins that we can put in: plastic bins, baskets, storage containers with lids, some storage containers without lids, of putting it all in that area and then labeling it. It's so important with little ones to label not only the actual the text, the word, but a picture, right? Because some of our littles, whether they're preschoolers or kinders, first graders, they're still learning how to read. So having a picture on that storage bin or a cabinet, then the kiddos have that visual to know, oh, this is where I'm going to put things away when I'm cleaning up. And then throwing things away. As I've mentioned before, it's one of the hardest things. Everybody kind of has their way of how they throw away things. I'm one of those people who like to throw away things, but I know there's others who have a little bit of a harder time throwing away things. And that could be associated with a memory, associated with, the way that they do things in their routines. But know that it's okay to throw things away. And I'll give you an example. Throwing things away when, for instance, if there's a car toy and there's 4 wheels on a car and the wheel happens to be broken off. At that point, we have to decide, are we really gonna fix that wheel on that toy? Probably not. So thinking about when we're gonna start to declutter things in our home and throw them away. It could be that toy that we need to throw away. But also too, part of throwing away comes with working with your kiddos and throwing things away. So then there's parts of the time where we're going to say and sit down with our kids and say, you know what? I think that another friend could use this toy. So really working with your kids, because you're not only do we as adults have attachments to different items in our children's play area, but so do our kids. So we want to work with them and making piles. So one of the things, and I'm going to pull this out right now, is piles of baskets. And I always work with kids or teachers in having little laundry baskets. Okay. And so we use these laundry baskets and we put 3 of them out or 2 of them out, and you can lay them on the ground and you can say, okay, Johnny, what are the things that we really, really want to keep? We're going to put them in this basket. And then we're going to say, oh, what are those things that we're going to donate to other friends who might need it? So then they're part of that system of cleaning up. There's going to be times where you're probably going to sneak and put things away yourself because they've outgrown it, or it's broken, or it's dingy, those types of things. But creating systems when it comes to throwing things away, make your children part of that system. Okay. Any questions so far?
I mean, I have a lot of questions, Michelle. I'm wondering if you ever have thrown things away and then get filled with regret afterwards, or like, or what, any tips that you have about maybe something that you're like a little emotionally attached to, throwing things like that away.
Definitely. I've had things that I've emotionally attached to, and I thought to myself, why did I just throw that away? And so if there are certain, type of materials, whether it be a special book, a painting, a toy of your kiddos, because that was maybe the first teddy bear you have ever bought them, set that aside, keep it there for a little bit, and then decide if that's something that you emotionally want to be detached to. At the same time, we don't want to cause extra stress on ourselves because we've thrown away this object that is very sentimental. One of the things I do too is putting things aside, setting it out, and thinking, when was the last time my kiddo played with that? Right. So that's another thing that you have to consider, or myself. If I'm in my child's play area, and how often are we using this modeling clay? We're probably not using it as much. So then, yes, we might have a certain attachment to it, but we really got to distinguish of, is it something that we're constantly using, and or it could be an object that we're not using all the time. So let's store that out of the play area and maybe put it in the garage and set it aside, because sometimes with children's toys, things that they're playing with all the time become less novel to them, right? So then when we want to bring something back in, it becomes novel. They become excited about it again. So sometimes to declutter the play area, you're going to have to take things aside and maybe move them in a container out to the garage, or out to a storage out in the back in a container. Okay, good question, Kristen. All right. When it comes to our bedrooms, whether we're an adult and we have our bedrooms set, and or our kids, once again, it goes with those labels and organizing certain things that we're constantly using all the time. Those items with the bins you want in front. You want to be able to have your kiddo be able to grab that bin, play with that bin, and then put it away. But it takes routine, it takes practice. Let me say this. When it comes to organization, it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, because you and your mindset are changing this routine that we've had, not having bins, to having bins, right? So practicing, even as much as closing the lid, even if we did one box at a time, just give yourself those little baby steps and those little goals that you're only hitting one bin at a time. If it's that you're only creating one toy bin and the kiddos just have to put all the toys into one bin, that's okay. Then maybe we can expand to differentiating the type of bins that we have in our bedrooms as adults, or bins with our kiddos, because it takes time. Changing your whole entire routine takes a few months. Okay. Also, to throwing things away, which I've said. In a bedroom, with the hardest thing to do is hanging and folding clothes and putting them away. So you want to teach your kiddos as young as even a preschooler, to start putting things away. What we have to let go of is how our kiddos have folded it or put it away, right? So yes, you and I would want it folded or hung a certain way, but in order to teach our kids those baby steps, it might not be folded. They might just roll it and kind of stuff it into the drawer. And that's okay too, because you know what they've just learned? They learned a new routine. They learned that they had to put something in a drawer and close it, and that's where it goes. So in their mind, it's a placement thing, right? They're placing certain things into their room a certain way. So that's where we can start shaping that behavior for us as adults and as our kids, we're shaping that. It might start off one way at the beginning, and then by the time they're 3, 4, 5, that behavior will slowly change as we're shaping that and reinforcing it, right? So not only are we going to say to our kiddos, Johnny, I am so proud of you. Check you out. You just put away your sweatshirt in your drawer. That makes mom and dad so happy. It's that type of reinforcement that your kids are going to say, oh, mommy just recognized that's going to change that behavior. Okay. The other thing that I believe that helps a lot, especially with littles and even us as adults, I'll give you an example for an adult. In my bedroom closets, I have hooks that are hanging behind my bedroom doors. Okay. And for me, it's my everyday type wear, whether it be a sweatshirt that I work out in, and I know I just want to quickly hang it and have a hook and be able to not necessarily think that, am I going to put it in the laundry? Can I wear it another day? You just have those hooks there and you hook it there so that it's not on our bedroom floors, right? That goes with your kiddos too. It could be their PJs, it could be their robes, it could be their swim trunks, those types of things of having hooks around their bedrooms that's eye level. So you don't want to put hooks or storage bins with their labels so high that they can't reach it. You want to make sure that it's at their eye level so that they can reach it. So it creates that routine and that habit to hang things up. Okay. The other thing that we're going to move into, and I think anybody who knows me knows I love my kitchen. I love to cook. It's somewhere that as I'm in my household, that's where you're going to always find me at. Okay. And one of those things for me, since that's my space, I've created that space so that I can grab things. I know where things are at because they're all placed in a certain order. Right. And because I love to cook, I want to make sure that those particular items are up front and easy to access. So making sure, one, going back to kids in our kitchens, is that you're creating steps for kids and yourself. Because by the time each of us, whether we're a stay-at-home mom or dad, or we're working moms and dads, that we're making it easy for us. Because no matter if you're stay at home or you're working out in the field, at the end of the day, we're somewhat tired. And so we want to make those steps as easy as possible for ourselves as well as our kids. Okay. So steps meaning when you're working with your kiddos at home, create that routine. And maybe it's just 3 steps. It is that your kiddo is grabbing the placemats and setting the table, or the kiddos are going and clearing off the table and putting the dish in the dishwasher. All those plastic little plates, those preschoolers can do that too. So include them in that, as well as our kids get older, as first, second, or third graders, they're being part of that routine. So making easy steps, but making your kids assigned to something, right? They take ownership when we do. But it helps you out as a parent, right? It makes that routine in that kitchen that much easier and that much smoother. But let me say this, it doesn't happen overnight. It takes time to be able to create those routines, okay? The other thing is making sure that kids and adults have their own bins or drawers in your household, especially because, say, for instance, we have a long drawer at the bottom of our cabinetry, having all plasticware in there for our kiddos to be able to grab. They want to make their own snack. They want to grab a snack. That's a great way to be able to have your kiddos start practicing at a young age, just like a preschooler, grabbing that little plate. And even if they're just putting popcorn or goldfish on there, it's awesome to be able to have them be able to do that. Because once they start doing that, all of a sudden that peanut butter and jelly sandwich that they're making has now found a place as far as pulling out that plate, but now they know where a spoon can be in the jelly and the peanut butter. So creating those types of bins for your kiddos, not only with dishes, but like little snacks for your kids as well as yourself. I always say too, I have in my refrigerator, I have my adult snacks, and then I have like younger snacks. And in my fridge, you can find fruit that's organized that it's just grab. Every single person in the family can grab an orange or grab a juice box or whatever it is, but creating those types of things in your fridge for your families. Space, organize, you know, materials that you're using, for instance, like a food processor or a juicer, if you're juicing every morning, definitely push that to the forefront, right? If you're not using your chopper that much, you're going to push that all the way to the back. You want to make sure that those materials that you're using all the time, whether it be a coffee maker, a cutting board, is all easy access. Those things that are not, just like when we were talking in the play area, in the playroom, put those items further back. Less clutter and stuff on the countertops. Okay. Pantry labels. One of those things, and I'll show you different labels later on, is just organizing out your pantries in sections. It always makes it easier in finding certain things, not only for us as an adults, but for your littles too. If you have it organized in a certain way and you have a bread box, and you can say to your little one, hey, can you go grab daddy the bread? That kiddo then knows where to grab it because it's organized in your pantry that particular way. And then one of the other things I always say is creating a fun little menu, putting it up on your refrigerator. We have menus that not only help us as adults, for my husband and I, we have a menu, and we think, okay, our menu on the fridge is going to help us know what we need to buy, how we need to organize as far as what we need left, so that we're not having an abundance of different food items in our home. But our kiddos too, because then when they're part of choosing on the night of the week and they get to pick what's going to be on the menu, it makes that flow of dinner go a little bit smoother, as well as making them part of that cooking process in the home. And then, like I said, that storing away. We want to make sure that we're storing away those different objects. So it's less clutter out on our countertops, or less clutter in our pantries. My pantry happens to be very, very small. And so I know that there's certain ways I'm moving different types of canned goods up to the front, pushing canned goods that I'm not using back to the back. So knowing how small my area is, I don't have a very big space. I know that helps me in being able to grab certain items as I'm cooking. The other thing here is our pets. Some of us have a cat, some of us have a dog. I talk to the littles all the time and I ask them, what type of pets do you guys have at your house? And I hear birds, bunnies. So all of us have a variety of different pets that we have in our house. But because pets aren't able to independently, clean for themselves, we've got to be that person and create a cleaning system in our routine, in our household, to make sure it's done, right? So one of those things that we do in our household, in back of our door, I take command hooks, I put them all up in the back of our doors, and we've just had all our leashes hanging. I have 2 little dogs to be able to hang our leash so that when we're going inside and outside, the leashes are right there. And during the pandemic, I actually put another hook on there to hang all of our masks, so that when we're going outside, we're able to grab a mask, we're able to grab the leash, and we walk outside. So it makes that transition, not only for myself, but for littles too, that they're able to grab the leash and take out and help walk the doggies outside. So, and then food storage. Food storage doesn't have to be a Purina bag and just sitting there. There's so many different types of storage that we can make it look aesthetically pleasing in our household, to be able to have that storage in there, as well as having a cup in there and making sure maybe the littles can help with feeding the dogs and the cats, even though it's a majority of the time it ends up being us adults feeding the dogs and the cats in our household. But it's nice to be able to have that storage container so that it's easy access of filling up our dogs or cat bowls. A toy bin. As much as we have bins in our households for our littles, our kids, ourselves as adults, we also want to have a toy bin for our animals, and making sure that, there's balls laying around the house, there's stuffed toys laying around the house, that in the end of the day, we're picking up those items and just throwing them into the pet's toy bin. And like I said, making those 1, 2, 3 steps easy, and making our kids part of that. Who's going to pick up the toys at the end of the day? It's going to be our littles helping us, or our teenagers helping us clean up. And then lastly is our bathroom. We are in our bathrooms, kids are in our bathrooms, they're getting ready for school, they're getting our baths at night. That's the same with us as an adult. But we want to make sure that our countertops are as clear as possible. It's the basics out there. Our toothbrushes, our soap, those basic things to be able to grab especially in a kid's bathroom, or if we're sharing a bathroom, that we all have areas within, if we have a household with one bathroom, that we've organized out our countertops to be able to have one kiddo grab a toothbrush. And so it's all organized in sections. And having storage bins, some of us have 1, 2, or 3 bathrooms, and making sure there's storage bins underneath our sinks. Or if we don't have that storage space and it's open, that we have storage bins lined up in our bathroom floors somewhere, so that we can restore as things are running out, whether it be toilet paper, toothbrushes, mouthwash, those restoring items to put in those areas where they need to be. And like I said, it goes back to easy steps of 1, 2, 3 steps for kids to have. They come in, they wash their face, or they jump in the shower, they take a bath, making it really easy, and having hooks for a towel, so that the kiddos, when they're done, they know where they're going to hang up their towel or their robes, those types of things. And if our kiddos are still taking baths, having a little storage bin for wet toys in the tub for our kiddos to put when they're getting out of the tub. Okay, help mommy, help daddy, help grandma and grandpa. Let's put those toys into that storage bin within the tub, so that they're not all laying there. But make your kids accountable. Have them help out cleaning in the bathroom too. Meaning, if they're done with their towels and it's no longer going to go on the hook, that they're throwing that into the dirty clothes hamper, those types of things. So creating those routines, easy routines, is important throughout our entire household. Any questions, Kristen?
I mean, again, I have 100,000, but this isn't my personal therapy session, unfortunately. So, but nothing's in the chat yet.
Okay.
One of the things that actually I was thinking, like, would you recommend? So if let's say that I happen to be moving in a couple of weeks, but just in general, would you recommend that you first organize your things, or first purge, and then I kind of am answering my own question. I think that it just makes it so much easier to organize less, but sometimes so yeah, that's just kind of my thinking, like structuring that up.
I think it goes back to being able, before we even start organize each section of this room or one part of our house, we have to start throwing things away. We have to purge some things, and then have a basket that is, I can't make that decision yet on that particular item. I still need more time in my mind to let go of these particular items. Set that aside. Give yourself that space and your mind that space to be able to do that, because it takes baby steps to be able to purge different items. But in order to start getting organized and creating actual bins in our house, or storage units or storage areas, and to begin to even make labels, we have to have an idea. It goes back to being proactive, right? It goes back to thinking, what is my plan here? As far as, especially in like our play area and the children's play area, is it that I want to create a space that the kids can go in, play, have a comfort area? Or is it just really that's just going to be a storage area that everything, all the stuff is going to be thrown in? So you got to think about a goal in mind in each of these areas in your room, and then starting to throw things away before you can start organizing, making labels. Because if you start creating labels, you're not going to even know why you're creating those labels and what for. So you have to have a goal in mind. I'm a list type of person. So usually for me, I'm a visual type of learner. What I'll do is I'll draw a map. I actually will draw a map of each section in my house and think, okay, how do I want this organized? Meaning my flow, right? When I'm going into the bathroom, I want to make sure I have somewhere where I can hang up a towel and throw away, or not throw away, but put into the hamper, those types of things. I have to think in our minds of systems, right? What is going to make my flow that much easier?
Thank you.
It's a lot to process, especially when you're moving, right? When you're moving from, a big to a small place to a big place, or vice versa, big place to a small place. Moving, you accumulate a lot of different things in a household, even if we were switching bedrooms. So let me take it to that level. You have a teenager moving off and going off to college, and you have a junior hire who wants to move into that kiddo's bedroom, right? So even talking about that is really setting aside, what are we going to throw away, and how are we going to make our room look? What is that style I want? How am I going to organize out my bedroom as far as the TV area, my computer area, and things like that within a bedroom, drawing those maps and writing lists help you organize your thought process before you start organizing.
Yeah, you were saying too, like in the play area, I forgot how you said it, but it was really that you need to be like totally present with what you have, and I think we do tend to in our house just gloss over everything, like do this like editing of like, I'm not gonna look at any of this. But if you take each item, and you really are engaged with like, are we using this right now? Is this intentional? And then kind of it takes a you have to come from a clear space to create the clear space.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You've got to be in the mindset that you are going to start a new organizational system in your household. And it takes a while to get there. I think as things start to pile up, and I do this, I'm guilty of this too. You look at my dining room table and things are starting to pile up. It could just be as simple as mail, right? And different packages that are coming in and not throwing out the boxes. So like, just creating a simple system right there is just, I need a system on how I'm going to break down my Amazon boxes, those types of things. It starts as little as there, and then taking each section of your house. I always recommend too that you're going to start little, like at the very beginning, I said, start with a little junk drawer, and then build your way up to what do we want to tackle next?
Yeah.
Do I want to tackle the play area in our house, or do I want to just start with our bedrooms or a bathroom, right? Start little and give yourself time.
We have a great question from Sarah Simcoe, who says, I like how we can have the same space to make the decisions. This is coming up in our home soon. What is the best storage for play areas that's comforting yet functional? This is for my 5-year-old. I want to work on him being more responsible with his belongings. And then Ashley Puffer also asks, are there any strategies involving the kids? She has systems in place, but she's missing the steps. And I think you were talking about this, like I'm not doing this for you. We're going to do this together. Yes, when you're really little, I'm just modeling my routines,
Right.
but then I'm going to kind of scaffold your involvement. So if you want to talk to those guys.
So with Sarah, I think it's important, Sarah, when we're thinking about bins, we're thinking about bins that are easy to either open or close, number one. So let me show you. So I'm going to actually show this. This is going to be the next part, but I want to show it to you now so I can be able to answer this question while we're thinking, and then I'll get to Ashley's. So when we think about bins in our household, we think about all these different types of bins. We have something like this looks nice. It's aesthetically, it goes with the style of my home, but is it practical, right? Especially if I have markers and I know my little one's going to accidentally, it's going to spill. And what's going to happen? A new mess is just created because it doesn't have a lid. So we got to think practicality when we're thinking about littles, right? I'm going to want a lid on something like with my little one. So it could be that we are going from a storage bin that looks like this, okay? And it has a lid. But also too, Sarah, it's important that we have a label on here and we have a picture on here and practice. So it could be that we're just practicing with our littles of how to put things in and how to take things out. And where does it go? Does it go on top of the shelf? Does it go underneath our bed? Right? So also too, it goes back to sharing a space. It might not just be the 5-year-old who's using this. It might be a combination of different family members using one container. So then within that container, maybe we have little pouches in here for our 5-year-old and then a high schooler, right? Because the high schooler might have a pair of scissors and a calculator or whatever it might be. So we want to, even within this, we're teaching. We're also shaping with our little ones. Hey, Johnny, your stuff's in here and big sister stuff's in here too. So we're breaking down all those different items in here. So that's important to have different types of bins. Now, I also want to be practical, right? Like when we think about bins can get costly. And so we want to think about bins that are cost effective but durable also, because sometimes these plastic bins wear and tear. These ones, the lids can get broken. And so we want to think about, and I have another slide for this and we'll talk about it, Dollar Tree, versus Target. You can buy a variety of these type of bins open, but they're very durable, especially, here's the thing about this bin and this bin. If we're storing paint, right? Coming from an OCD person, I'm going to want to store paint in this container because I'm going to be able to take the water hose and clean this all out when the paint actually spills. Okay, in this one, that's not going to be the case. Yes, it's pretty, but if paint spills in this, it's going to be harder to clean. Okay, so there's those types of containers. And then I'm going to show you guys the label making part. But to go, oh, here too, like I said, when you're having containers for little ones, you can have containers like this one, a pencil kit, that go inside here. Okay. Or you can have a container like this, and it could be our snap containers for kiddos, right? We can have a variety of different kinds of containers that are going within this container. Okay. So we always want to, as much as I don't want to have so many containers, it also helps with the practicality of different kiddos and their likings. This could be the container, the snack container for Johnny, and Mary has a different one. Okay. So those are with the containers. And then Ashley, as far as answering your question, one thing that is important is like shaping that behavior. It's about starting off and talking to your kiddos, especially if they're elementary and they're a little bit older, so they're able to understand more steps, because the more steps you create, meaning if it's like a 4 or 5 step process of this cleaning, if it's too complicating, break it down again. You're going to have to break it down and model what you want as far as how they're cleaning up. When it comes to cleaning up and organizing too, it could be that we're setting timers, right? Because every kiddo, as you know, whether it's in the school setting or if it's at a home setting, they'll just take forever to clean up. And sometimes having a timer helps remind the kiddos, okay, we've got 3 more minutes left and you've got to clean up, right? But that 3 minutes when we first start is not going to be 3 minutes. It's probably going to be 7 minutes. And then we're going to break it down to 3 minutes as they're getting the routine of how we're cleaning. But you got to practice it, and it's going to take visuals. And sometimes it is a lot of positive reinforcement coming from us as the adults to shape that particular behavior. So it could be, you know what? I really like how all of us cleaned as a family tonight. You know what? Let's go get pizza. Throwing kind of a loop for them of not always being like a good job type deal when they're cleaning. It could be that they got to go get an ice cream cone, something that changes it up so they get even more excited about their routine. But another part too is when they're cleaning up, and they're going back and they're going to find something in their play area or the office area, you're going to say, how quick was it that you found that? Remember a while ago when we didn't have this area in our house that was a storage area? And how long did it take you to find that? It took you forever and you were getting frustrated. Whereas now you know where it is, and that's your spot. I think one of the things with littles, when you have a variety of different kiddos in your household, age-wise, is making them take ownership. That's their space. So, and it goes back to school, you know, it's their space, it's their desk. They like to create, giving that autonomy to, it might not fit with our aesthetic, but if they have a certain style that they like, you know, it could be all Disney, not a fan, but if that's their gig and they like that, do it, because that's going to make them more motivated to want to put their crayons away or store their backpack away because there's a Mickey Mouse hook, those types of things.
And Michelle, we just have a couple more minutes, and
let me go one more
slide to show us.
One more slide here, everyone. So it goes back to organization and being cost effective. You know, for me, I find a lot of different types of bins at the Dollar Tree. This year in particular, for COVID, we had to really restructure our classrooms and organize certain things. So we had to buy a variety of different types of bins. We can do this in our households too, right? And do it cost effective because, you know, things are going to break and you don't want to buy all these expensive stuff, especially for the littles. And it can get broken really easy because of wear and tear. So the Dollar Tree, Big Lots, but then Costco too always has deals on these types of bins that you can find with the lids where you can get 10 of them for a certain price tag, which could then be cheaper because you're buying in bulk, especially if you know that in your play area, you're going to need about 20 bins. Start looking about things, even Amazon. And I should have put Amazon on there too, where you can buy bins in a large quantity. And then Target, you're going to find more of those bins that are just more aesthetically pleasing and just these cutesy type bins. You know, this works for my household because I don't have littles. So this works for me. But that might not also always be the case where you're going to need something that's durable or that you can wash out with spray. or water. But as you can see here, this particular command hook, you know, look at the different kinds of command hooks that you have, because some hold up a certain amount of weight, which is important too, right? A broomstick, a ladder, those types of things. There's a variety of different command hooks. And not only can you find, you don't have to get the name brand, you can find these command hooks at Dollar Tree or Big Lots as well. Lastly here is, and I know I only have a couple more minutes, is making things practical. At the end of your bed, you can put storage there. You can see here, you can see this pantry. My pantry does not look like that, but that's a hard thing to get to, but I put that there because it is aesthetically pleasing. But at the same time, you can find a variety of these different type of containers at the Dollar Tree, but organizing it cost effective. All these different types of bins. And then one thing I want to show you guys is just labels. I buy a variety of different types of labels. You don't have to buy Avery. You can buy Office Depot brand, Staples brand, but different size labels you can see. And I just print this off my computer. Avery, you can have, you know, templates that they have, and they're all cutesy, and you can, or you can keep it basic, but there's different sizes, right? There's different sizes for different types of containers. There's big ones, there's cute little circle ones. So there's a variety, and just little ones that you know that you just need a little label for maybe your pantry items and those types of things. So know that those types of labels are out there, and they're cheap, especially if you get them through Office Depot or Staples. The store brand. Okay.
Well, Michelle, you have inspired me. And I think, like I was saying when we first started, that this is such a big part of mental health and day-to-day wellness, is like opening up that junk drawer and not having that like, but then comes the self-loathing and all the like, this life and I can't, and you start to have all of that negative self-talk. So I really appreciate your contribution to this day of workshops and instruction, because I think this is a huge part of really creating like just a nice aesthetically calm environment too. So thank you so much for all of your knowledge and sharing it with us again on a Saturday. And
well, thank you. Thank you, Kristen. And thank you to our team, our mental health team of organizing, putting this together for all of our families and even our staff members, because it brings us together as a community, and it also makes us think that things are real, and little things that we start off something as little as cleaning out our junk drawer to then cleaning up our bedrooms and organizing our bedrooms. Like I said, it makes your mind more organized when things are organized in our homes. So thank you everyone for having me today.
enjoy the rest of your weekend, and thank you again.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.